Hi, everybody. Welcome to Chic Innovator Podcast. Today's guest is award-winning food journalist, author, TV personality, Steve Dolinsky, known to many as the Hungry Hound and the Food Guy. Today, Steve continues innovating the culinary world through his work with Levy Restaurants, where he is known as the Food Guy. He is still inspiring food lovers everywhere through his books, his tours, and unforgettable storytelling. Steve has earned multiple James Beard Awards and Emmy Awards and has hosted groundbreaking food shows and launched the internationally recognized Pizza City USA brand. His career has redefined food storytelling in the media and has redefined food as well. So here we go with my good friend Steve. You're watching Chic Innovator. Stay tuned for fascinating topics, fascinating people that have style and are innovative.
I'm the food guy at Levy. We do food and beverage for about 400 properties around the U.S. I used to be the food reporter at NBC. Before that, I was the food reporter at ABC7. Before that, I was the producer and host of the Good Eating Show on CLTV. I'm currently also the founder of Pizza City Fest, Pizza City Tours, and the Pizza City Podcast.
And you never sleep. He never sleeps.
Don't really sleep a lot. No, I don't.
And I love it. I think everybody in Chicago has known you. I mean, I remember watching you for so many years, on TV. You did NBC, you did ABC, and ABC, my goodness, you were there for 17 years?
Yeah, 17 years.
That's incredible.
I mean, I run into people, they're like, I grew up watching you. I'm like, come on, am I that old? I guess I am, yeah.
Well, I can't say that. I think we're about the same age. But, I've got to tell you, I find your life fascinating. And I'm so happy that you were able to take the time and come in. I'm grateful that you're doing it on a Sunday. We record on Sundays, people. And it's really great. I do want to tell you a little bit. So what we do with Chic Innovator, what we do with Runway Lot Next, which is the fashion event that we have in October, the money, if we raise any money here or with the other events that we do, it all goes to a non-for-profit called Pivoting in Heels. And so, Pivoting in Heels is a not-for-profit. We're dedicated to empowering women. We raise scholarship funds, and we also pay for internships. We've been doing this now for about 8 years, and we're so very grateful, for everybody for following us and for helping us with this. So thank you. You're doing something good with this, and we really appreciate it.
Happy to do it.
Yeah. And so I was saying, I find your life fascinating. I am in tech. I'm CEO of a tech company. I do the fashion piece, but I'm a big foodie. And I think I told you, Runway Lot Next is fashion, gastronomy, mixology, and entertainment. And I threw in gastronomy because I love eating. I love good food. I work out, as much as I can so that I can eat.
Sounds like my life. Yeah.
It's interesting because I try to stay the same size so that I can just, designers come in, I can pull stuff. And it's not easy because I love to eat. I really enjoy it.
And you live in a great food city.
Incredible city.
Yeah.
Incredible city. But tell me a little bit, because yours is the life I think so many of us would love to have. But when did you know that you were so in love with food? And my gosh, how did this magic happen where you ended up stepping into something?
Yeah, I knew in college pretty early. I was going to be a sports reporter on television. That was kind of my dream, to be on ESPN. And all my internships were in broadcasting and sports. And I'm from Minneapolis originally, so I'd go back in the summer from University of Wisconsin. I was studying broadcast journalism. And I'd always been interested in food. I have a sister-in-law who's originally from Tasmania. She now lives in Australia.
Okay.
She was really into food. She was what they would call a foodie back in the 80s, way before that term. And she got me into, because I grew up in a kosher home in St. Cloud, Minnesota, where there were like 10 Jewish families. And so we would wait for the Greyhound bus once a week to come from Minneapolis with the kosher chicken and all the kosher food, and we'd keep them in a freezer in our basement. And kosher food in the 70s and 80s was not exactly creative cooking.
I was going to say, that's pretty restrictive.
Very restrictive.
Yes, yes.
So for those who don't know, it's no milk and meat together. So no cheeseburgers, no ice cream after having a meal with steak, no shellfish, no pork. And so anyway, my sister-in-law kind of opened my eyes to all these other foods as I would go over to my brother's house and she would be cooking with my brother. And I got this bug in like junior high school. When I got to college, I realized this is really something I'm fascinated by. And I felt like I'd been missing out my whole life, all 20-some years, being restricted by this kosher diet at home. Lots of tuna casseroles, just really sort of cliche 70s food. And I just started pursuing it. And I would, wherever I lived, I had a TV job in Upper Michigan and doing news reporting. I would seek out the one Thai restaurant. When I was in the Quad Cities in Davenport, Iowa, same thing, seeking out the interesting restaurants. I get to Chicago in '93 as a news reporter at CLTV. And I remember I lived above the King Crab on Halstead.
Okay.
And I made my way out in concentric circles for weeks, Uncle Tanu's, Ito Sushi, everything in Lincoln Park, because I'd never had this kind of food before. I didn't buy groceries for like a month and a half. I was so fascinated by all the ethnic food I could have in Chicago. And so I was just right place, right time. I was at CLTV in '95 at this point, 2 years into my job. And they said, we're launching a show called Good Eating. It's going to mirror the Chicago Tribune's food section. We're looking for somebody to produce the show because we've got a host already. The weather guy is going to host the show. And I said, I would love to work on this show. I'll go off camera. I'm done being a news reporter. I want to commit my career to food. And that was '95. That was when it all started. So that was, literally 30 years ago.
Wow. So you created it, basically.
I created it, yeah. Well, there was an opportunity,
Yeah.
but I created it and I made it my own. I really jumped into it. And a year into that job, the host took a job somewhere else. I became the host and the producer in '96. Met, anybody who came through town on book tour, Emeril Lagasse, Julia Child. Interviewed all these folks.
Wow.
I have pictures on my desk with Julia at the James Beard Awards in '96. She won Best National Cooking Show. I won Best Local Cooking Show in the country. So just...
You've won all these James Beard Awards.
13. Yeah.
13.
Some for radio, some for TV, some for podcasts. So I just really committed my life to it and I got really creative. And this was right when the Food Network was launching in '94, '95. So it was really at the beginning of it all. And Chicago's food scene was also changing. So we had Le Francais in the suburbs, we had Charlie Trotter's, and that was kind of it. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden we get places like Alinea and Oriole and Smith and on it goes. So it was a really exciting time in the early 90s to be a part of that, sort of covering the food scene in Chicago, but I really kind of made it my own.
So I'm curious, from the very beginning, were you going out and finding all these new places? Were they coming to you? I know you were on TV, so maybe they were coming. How does that
So 95 to 03, during the Good Eating Show, the 8-year run, and we did 52 shows a year, half-hour shows. It was really 52 a year, yeah.
Wow.
Through all my life events, we made sure we had to have a show every week.
Yes.
Because the newspaper never repeated, so we had to keep it fresh.
Right.
I would just follow the Tribune's lead, but back then the Chicago Tribune's food section had like a dozen people on it. So Carol Haddix, Bill Rice, the late Bill Rice, who was a great food and wine columnist. I would get to pick their brains, ask them questions. I remember Renee Anna, one of our associate editors, introduced me to Johnny's Beef in Elmwood Park, which I was so grateful for to this day.
Yes, to this day.
And now my name's on the cup there for the lemon ice, which is such a proud moment for me.
I gotta get over there and get some of that.
But this was in the early mid '90s, and I'm discovering all these places in Chicago thanks to my relationship with the Chicago Tribune's food staff, the Good Eating staff, and so really was following their lead. But that taught me how to create an editorial schedule, how to work ahead, how to shoot and produce, and how to really that was my MBA in food coverage because I never went to culinary school, but I had 8 years of kind of an MBA in training to understand and learn about food because during those 8 years, I was devouring, every great food writer, MFK Fisher, Alan Richman, Johnny Apple, the New York Times, Ruth Reichel, just anything I could read that would further my food education. But also just getting to be in a kitchen every day in Chicago, asking Sean McLean at Trio, what is a brunoise? What is a chiffonade? Where does that ingredient come from? Why did you ask for that type of thing? So that was really instructional for me. And then in 03, I left because they canceled the show, and I pitched myself as a food reporter, and that's where I kind of created my own thing then at ABC in 03.
Yeah. which was such a
Well, then I was kind of off to the races because then it was like I'm responsible for 2 stories per week. It eventually became 4 stories per week, and there was no one to follow at that point. It was like I produced it, I reported it.
Yeah, you were doing
I did everything. I mean, yeah.
But tell me, because, some people can go, probably like myself, go and eat and really enjoy it. But you're having to prepare all this for somebody who's really interested in following your path a little bit. Share with us, what kind of preparation do you do, before going in? And where did you go? I mean, to learn some of this. Now we have Google.
Yeah, but I think the live news reporting for a couple of years, 4 years, 5 years almost, that gave me the experience that I needed, sort of the technical experience, how to understand and sort of frame a story in a shorter period of time, how to be able to go back the same day and write and edit a story that was going to be live at 6 p.m. and then deliver it live from a location. That was such good training for me. And even to this day, like I now work at Levy and I'm producing videos for our partners. There's going to be a video that you'll see at the Chicago Fire Experience Center in the Wrigley building that I'm going to be producing and creating myself. All these skills that I use today, I learned way back when. So having those skills, I think, are pretty rare. Everybody's like, I love food. I want to talk about food. This is going to be my life. But they don't really understand how to create a story, how to write a headline or a lead.
Yeah, because you're doing like a mini documentary every time you go in.
Yeah, and these are 2.5 minute stories on tape. And toward the end of it, since COVID, so when I was at ABC during COVID, I was there for another year or two. I started shooting my own material, which I was able to do because I did it in Upper Michigan out of college. And then I was editing my own material on my Mac, on Final Cut Pro, because I was able to I understand how to shoot and edit. And so I was able to, again, recall those skills. And when I was at NBC, I was basically hired at NBC because I was able to be a one-man band. They didn't have to hire a producer, a shooter, an editor. And again, that made me kind of a rare commodity. But I also had the food knowledge to boot.
Yeah, so you're the whole package. Yeah. You really are the whole package and have been for a long time. It's exciting, but I also know that it's a lot of work. But obviously you really enjoy what you do.
Love it. Yeah, I needed a more sustainable job. And so being on television one day a week at NBC is not really a full-time job. It's a part-time job.
Yeah.
And I don't have a trust fund, so I need to actually work for a living. I've got 2 kids still, adult children, but still, you know how it is. And so I was looking for something that was better suited to my skills. And this job at Levy is right up my alley. They created a job for me.
I'm sure they did because it's like so perfect, but it's so perfect for them.
It is.
I want to talk about that, but I do want to ask you something. So at home, what is it? Do you cook? Does your wife, how does it work?
She doesn't cook at all. I love to cook. I just don't have as much time as I used to, although it's interesting. My daughter just moved back from Amsterdam after 6 years with her husband, and they're staying with us temporarily. And so now there is more cooking going on at home. I love to cook. It's hard to spend that much time cooking for 1 or 2 people. And I travel a lot, and so I'm on the road a lot. And now I need to kind of keep my ears and eyes open to other cities because we're working on projects all over the country all at the same time. So I'm constantly looking around the country for things. So I probably cook at home once a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's kind of me too. I used to cook a lot more when I was married, and my daughter's now grown up, so she's not at home. And so I say the same thing: to cook for just one.
For one, yeah.
It is fun too. You want to, because I like cooking a lot. I'm from a Mexican background, so we cook Mexican food, and you can't just cook a little bit of Mexican food. You have to cook a lot, right?
Do you do your Noche Buena before Christmas, and everybody makes tamales together?
We do tamales and muelos, and just the whole thing. But it's fun. It's the whole family comes over, and kind of my home is the landing ground, if you will, and we just have so much fun around it.
Cool.
I was telling you, I've been traveling a lot, and for me, I kind of work my travels around the restaurants or chefs or things like that and do some research. The friends that I like to travel with are the same. And so I think that it expands. Food is, really showing the culture of the countries that you're going in or the people that you're getting involved with. And I love to see that when countries are changing, when the boundaries are changing, the food kind of melts together,
Yeah.
right? And you start seeing all these innovative things pop up. You were even talking about just recently.
Well, you also just have such a better understanding of where you are in the world. Like, I think Panama and Colombia are good examples. I've spent some time down there. And, one side of Panama faces the Pacific and one hits the Atlantic. And it's only like an hour and change to get across. It's the smallest part of the peninsula. And you can experience, Spanish influence on one side and African influence and coconut milk on the other side. And you don't understand a country like that unless you're actually there and you're eating. So I just am endlessly fascinated by that sort of thing. I've been able to travel because of my job, because I used to be a part of World's 50 Best Restaurants. As one of the committee chairs, I was able to really get out on the road and experience other countries. And so I spent a lot of time in Asia and Southeast Asia and have a real love and passion for Korean food.
You were saying, so, okay,
Yeah.
I got to tell you, people. I thought that your number one food, your favorite food, was going to be pizza.
Sure.
Because you do all these incredible things with pizza. As a matter of fact, you've got something coming up, right?
Pizza City Fest, LA is coming up. And we have Chicago in mid-August.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, right, he loves pizza. That's got to be like
Which I do.
number one. Which you do, obviously, and you know it well. But your favorite food is
It's Korean.
Oh,
Yeah, and I find that when most people say they're foodies, I will ask them a couple more questions. I want them to unpack that. And when they just tell me they like steak and Italian and sushi, that doesn't really tell me a lot. I want to know, do they like, Colombian, or do they like, Southeast Asian? Do they like the funky fish sauce driven flavors from Vietnam or Thailand? That kind of gives me a window into their psyche a little bit. And so when I say Korean, I think people's ears perk up like, wait, a Jewish guy who grew up kosher in St. Cloud, Minnesota, who does a pizza festival, loves Korean food? That doesn't make any sense. But it's like fiery, funky, fermented vegetables and the kimchi. And I love beef, but I don't love steakhouses because I can't eat that much. But I love a little, like a 2-ounce grilled thin, like carby that's been marinated, wrapped in lettuce with rice, and these stews with kimchi and tofu. And the gochugaru, which is this the dried chili.
The variety that you get.
And then the banchan, all the flavor, all the vegetable
so
variety. So that, to me, that's really eating.
I love that. That's good. No, I don't blame you. That's not my favorite. I'm not going to say what my favorite is. But that's for another day.
Your native cuisine, it's actually funny. Last night I went to a place near Midway because my daughter and son-in-law from Amsterdam were craving Mexican. And I went to Chocome Antojeria, which is on Archer, and they specialize in talucas, like a flat masa, talucas. And they also do the torta ahogada, right, which is all the guajillo soaked bread. I mean, they were just in heaven.
So
it was great. And they make the masa there. They do blue corn or yellow corn, but so much of that cuisine is based on masa, right, and corn. So you really have to love that.
And sauces, too.
And sauces. You're right.
You've got to
It is a sauce base. Yep.
Yeah,
we had a super dark, spicy habanero. We had a lighter verde with serranos and tomatillos. It's great.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of people don't know about Mexican food, it so depends on the region from Mexico, and it's a big variety.
Rick Bayless told us all that almost
you
40
were
years
on
ago.
With Rick Bayless.
We had a podcast called The Feed, which we won a Beard Award for in 2015. Yeah.
Nicest man ever. I emceed an event, and he and his wife were there. Just kindest, so knowledgeable.
Kind, generous, giving, supportive of farmers, charitable, supports the arts. I mean, just really.
And Chicago. He's in Chicago.
And big Chicago guy, and smart. Like, who has a PhD in linguistics?
Yeah, just all around, great person. We've got so many people like that. So, you have another dream job. I mean, you've got to love. Do you pinch yourself a lot of times and go, wow, how did I, move into this? Because it's so great. When you mentioned to me what you were doing and that you were over at Levy, I said, what? And tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah.
And did you, they came to you and did you write out the job description or what? How did the whole thing
I've known Andy Lansing, the CEO there, for 20 years.
Okay.
And we would have lunch once a year. Always kind of holiday season. We get together and just sort of catch up. And I've known Allison Weber, the chief creative officer there, for 30 plus years. We actually go way back when I was a news reporter. It's just crazy. We have time for this. It's a full circle. It's a full circle story, folks. This is why you never burn bridges. Yes. So in '94, I got a news reporting assignment to go to this restaurant called Spiaggia.
Okay.
There was a chef there named Paul Bartolotta, and he had just convinced his boss, Larry Levy, to spend $12,000 on a white truffle from Alba, Italy, and for the truffle season. And I thought truffles were what you get at Fannie Mae, a chocolate, right? A little truffle. Little did I know that there are these expensive tubers that come from underground that dogs sniff out in Italy, right? And they cost $12,000 for a couple grams. So I go through the story, I interview Paul, I talk to Allison, their marketing director at the time in '94. And at the end of the story, I said to them, God, I just would love to do more of this kind of reporting about where food comes from and the origin stories, because I love food. And they said, you've got to keep pitching food stories to your assignment desk. Just make it happen. And so I kind of did. And so then a year later, when they launched the Good Eating Show, I was like, right person, right time, right place, right? And then I became the food reporter at CLTV. And then that led to this whole career in food. And so then fast forward 30 years, I'm kind of at the end of my rope with NBC, doing 1 day a week. It's not enough for me. I want more, but they can't really provide it. And so I talk to people in the industry who I really respect. And one of them is Levy Restaurants, now just called Levy. Mm-hmm. And I talked to Andy Lansing, and we kind of came up with a job together. And he was like, what do you want to call it? And I was sort of like, well, EVP of like culinary experience and whatever, and relationships. And he's like, how about the food guy?
Food guy, yeah.
Because he's like, I want you to have a title that when someone hears it will make them smile. And in that corporate world, you don't have a lot of titles like that, right? They're all corporate titles, right. Chief people officer or something. But no, I was just the food guy. And so it does put a smile on people's faces. And it is multi-pronged. It is producing videos for RFPs, for requests for proposals, for new business, which I've helped win the Northwestern and the Chicago Fire, which was a big one for us, the MLS team. And then also...
So before you describe exactly what you do, explain to everybody watching Levy what they are. Like what
Sure, sorry.
It's huge.
So they've been around since '78.
Yes.
Started D.B. Kaplan's Deli in Water Tower Place. Larry Levy was a real estate guy. He and his brother had a flailing deli, D.B. Kaplan's. They asked their mom, Edie, to come from St. Louis and help right the ship. And she brought her recipes with her, and then they created a hit with that. And then they opened up Bistro 110 and Spiaggia and these other restaurants. And so it was Levy Restaurants. But then, not that many years later, it was the 80s, I think, or 90s, the Chicago White Sox asked them to come in and help them with their clubs and suites to kind of put a restaurateur's approach to it. And so we did that, and then that just snowballed. All the other teams were asking us to help them with their suites and clubs and their finer dining, and then eventually concessions. And so we do professional sports teams, we do stadiums, we also do zoos and cultural centers, Ravinia, museums all over the country. And there's also now, since we were purchased by Compass, which is the world's largest food service company, several years ago, there's a Levy Europe. And we do, we do Premier League teams and football there. We do all kinds of stuff. We do the national team for Amsterdam, the Ajax. So we do all kinds of venues because we're really good at we call it the muscle and finesse. The muscle of a large team that can help scale something, and the finesse of delivering it on the plate in a way that looks like you're in a restaurant. It's not just mass food serving like a lot of other companies have done.
No, and it's a restaurant that cares about you because you get that feeling, right? You get that feeling that
hospitality is important, is paramount to us, but also food prep, and part of the reason I was hired for innovation. So I spent a lot of my time with our executive chef in the company in the home office, and then also with our regional chefs. How do we come up every couple of months with new ideas, new dishes? And I'm involved in shooting those videos and producing those videos so that everyone in the company can watch how it's made. Yeah. Right. We also I'm training our chefs how to be on television because I have a background in that. I'm also doing food tours. I was just in Baltimore leading a tour for our partners there, Oklahoma City Thunder, taking our partners on a tour there because they're building a new stadium. How do we think about the local restaurants in that market, and who do we bring into the arenas in a thoughtful way? So food tours is a big part of what I do as well.
Okay, so you had to tell me. So these chefs, when you're training them, do you have a hard time training them? Are they
no, because they all choosing to do this, right? Okay. So there's like an online program they go through that I've set up. They go through these first two phases, and once they pass those first two, then they come to Chicago in person, and we do some intensive on-camera work.
And how long usually?
It's a full day.
It's a full day.
But yeah.
And they're pretty, because they're personalities.
You
right?
or we help them bring up their personalities, right? Not everybody's born to do that.
Okay.
It's not a natural fit for a lot of chefs, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people want to be chefs because they can be in a kitchen away from people. But yes, if you're going to be representing a property, you need to be out in front of the camera and really, communicate our message well.
I love that.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah, it's important. And who else but you to do it? I mean,
right.
so much. You've got
I'm kind of the right guy for that. So that's how I pitched it. I can help us come to the next level. So that's really a big part of what I've been doing as well.
So curious, when you're looking at what kind of new food to serve or even what chefs to put in or whatever, are you looking at trends? What are you looking for out there?
So everything, social media, looking at Instagram and TikTok. Are there any trends that we're missing? Remember Dubai chocolate was a big thing a couple of years ago. I mean, it's still out there, but like one of my first things when I came into the company was we needed Dubai chocolate something.
Yeah, we just came back from Dubai.
Oh, just to show that we're on top of that, right? Yeah. And so last summer we put in a Dubai chocolate shake at Sox at Rate Field where the White Sox play. Because we only do the suites and the clubs at Sox at Rate Field. Okay. We don't do concessions. It's a different company. But we did put a Dubai chocolate shake in the clubs there.
Ooh.
So, that trying to stand top, like ube. Ube is a really kind of on-trend ingredient now from the Philippines because it's purple.
Yeah.
In fact, just this week there's a New York Times article about, you've got to sort of feed your Instagram feed. It's got to be Insta-worthy. And so that purple shows up well. I also like the flavor of sweetened ube, which is nice. But yeah, we've got to have ube at something because that is part of what's on trend. So I read all the food magazines. I read the New York Times food section religiously. And yeah.
Social media, big deal too.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you can't avoid it.
No, you can't.
You can't avoid it. I mean, I don't TikTok myself a lot. I used to when I was in media, but I definitely sort of keep an eye on peripherally what's going on out there. Yeah.
We are on TikTok, people.
Chic really? What's your TikTok?
Chic Innovator. So.
Chic Innovator.
Yes.
Chic Innovator. Okay.
Yes. So come on, we're trying to grow that. We're bigger on everything else, but we're trying to grow that.
And that's food and fashion.
Yeah, food and fashion.
Okay.
Yeah, food and fashion. No, so that's great. So you look at that, and then do people also come to you, with ideas? Or?
Yeah. So people would, pitch us to say we want to be a part of a stadium situation. Like we're working right now with BB.Q Chicken. It stands for Best of the Best Quality. It's a Korean brand out of Korea, but they've got an office in Jersey, and we're going to start putting them in the Prudential Center where the New Jersey Devils play, because the population is out there. There's a lot of Koreans in New Jersey, and so their fan base would love to have Korean fried chicken. So we're going to test it there, and then see if we can roll it out in some other places. So people will approach us if it's the right fit, right? Not every mom and pop can do it well. Mm-hmm. We either have to scale them, we come in and help them scale, and then it's a licensing deal, or we just help them grow. I mean, there's an empanada company in New York that we've been helping grow a little bit from a food truck. They're now sort of the Javits Center, the convention center, because we do the food there, and you probably see them in some arenas in the New York area.
Are you seeing a trend toward more healthy type food? Is that a lot just of...
People will say they want to see more salads, and we'll try to put more salads in a grab-and-go situation, and they don't. At the end of the day, they don't touch them. They don't sell. People go to a game. They want to have an experience. They want to have the brisket burnt in loaded baked potato. They want to have the all-in nachos. They want. Yeah.
You're going to the game so you can enjoy yourself.
And you're eating with a couple people at a game so you can share, right? So you can have like a big amount of nachos. You can have a big thing of popcorn. The core items tend to be the most popular, which are like nachos, chicken fingers, chicken tenders, burger, hot dog, etc.
Yeah, you can have a hot dog.
You kind of do have a hot dog. Although, God, I just saw somebody post a hot dog from Boston. Not only did they put it in the New England hot dog buns, which they serve things in like, lobster rolls, which I love, but they put a hot dog in a New England bun and just put ketchup on it and no mustard. I was like,
what?
Why would you put ketchup on a hot dog?
No.
Anyway, all right, I digress.
Sorry, no ketchup for me. You got to have mustard.
Got to be mustard.
I'm kind of a mustard girl. I got to tell you for a lot of things. I'm not a ketchup person.
Good for you.
I like mustard.
Only with French fries. Ketchup.
Yeah. I don't know. I do the French fries sometimes with mustard too. Yeah.
I like mayo and
mayo too.
Mayo only is great, or mayo and ketchup is good.
Yeah.
Like we're experimenting now, United Center, with an Amsterdam fry because, again, my daughter was in Amsterdam for so long. And they have these big mounds of fries, which we sourced from Belgium. And we serve a choice of 5 aiolis, so like chimichurri or black truffle on the side. And then there's shaved fresh pecorino romano cheese on top.
Oh, that sounds so
Which
good.
is great.
I love it. You mentioned something, and I think it's important. We have a lot of young people that also watch us. And you mentioned don't burn bridges.
Yeah.
And networking. I mean, for me, the people I've met along the way and the relationships that I've had, for me, they're everything, because it does go back full circle. And especially in these big cities, everybody knows each other, right? So how have you managed that, if there's any way to manage that?
I think, it's very old school, and my friend still does it because he's old school.
Works,
old school, sending handwritten thank you notes.
Okay.
That goes a long way. It used to be where you clip an article out of a newspaper and you send the article to someone. Now, obviously, you just send them a link.
Yeah.
But showing that you're thoughtful, showing that you're thinking of someone. Like I have a relationship with someone in your industry, Ikram,
okay.
right? And so I would see something in the New Yorker's fashion issue every year, and I'll clip it and I'll send the link to her, because she might not read the New Yorker every week, and I have been reading it for many years. And so that's just being thoughtful to someone else. They always appreciate that. And staying on people's radar, just like checking in every now and then, like I did with Levy, which I think is the only reason I have this job, is because I was checking in with them once a year, and just staying on their radar. But I think, in each industry, whether it's food or fashion or
tech, whatever.
Tech, or clothing, crafts, whatever the industry that you're in is, staying on top of it, going to conferences. I used to be a moderator at the Food and Wine Aspen Classic every June. And as a moderator, I would have all these different people on my panels, and I've stayed in touch with some of them. And it's come back to help me, because I've reached out to people like, we were pitching University of Michigan, their business. And my boss was asking, do you know anybody at Zingerman's, this famous deli in Ann Arbor? And I said, sure, I know.
My daughter went to Michigan.
And I'm like, I know Ari, the co-founder of Zingerman's. Yeah, we reached out to him, and he became part of our pitch. And now, guess what? Not only did we win the business, but if you go to a football game in the future at Michigan, you'll be able to get a limited time offer a Zingerman sandwich on the menu there.
And Michigan just did very, very well.
They just did very well in basketball, yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're back.
Yep.
Yeah, which is huge. No, congratulations to you on that. But I've got a question also, because you're doing so much. How do you choose what to do? I mean, it's you're everywhere.
It's the story of my life. Yeah, it's like, every week I meet with my boss, and I give him like a half-hour download, and I say, this is what I'm working on. Is this okay to work on finding chefs from Belmont Park, the horse racing track in New York that's going to be renovated that we're doing, or finding a chef for this project, or leading a food tour for here. Like I've got a lot of things going on, and I'll just sort of like, this is what I'm working on. Is this okay? And he usually says yay or nay.
And you thrive in that. It seems like you thrive in that. I mean,
I love it.
Face light up.
Every day is a different. Every day is a challenge. Like I'm on the road just enough. I'm not traveling every week, but once or twice a month, and I get to meet really interesting people. Like our partner at Atlanta Hawks, I got to tour their facility and talk about how do we tell the Atlanta food story better at their arena. And the guy that we deal with there used to be a big marketing guy at Coca-Cola. So just so fascinating to meet these people with all these different backgrounds who are, at the end of the day, passionate about having us help tell the food story in their markets.
So what message, if anything, for people who want to be successful in the food industry, if you will, what kind of message would you give them?
I would say take the long view. Because a lot of people want to jump into it and expect themselves to be doing what they want to do within 2 years, and it's just not going to happen. I don't think so. You have to build your base of knowledge, and that's part of that is knowledge of your industry and what you're focused on, and part of it is knowledge of who the right people are.
Yeah.
And you only get that from attending conferences and going to trade shows and traveling, and I did all my traveling on my own dime for my vacations were to places around the world that I needed to go to learn about the cuisine, and hiring.
You did that on your own dime?
Of course, hiring a guide. Yeah. Dragging my kids all over the world. Every spring break, every summer vacation, every winter break, we would go to Asia. We would go to somewhere in Europe, South America, We took them to Peru 10 years ago to go to Machu Picchu, but also to eat in Lima. So just, it's important to take the long view, but think about what really sort of gets you up in the morning, what gets you excited. Like I still get excited to get up and like go discover a place and organize a food tour to a new city, and we're gonna go to a place that I read about. Like there's a Cambodian place in Philadelphia called Mon that I just read about in the New York Times, MAWN, that I'm just dying to go to because we now have a reason to go to Philadelphia because we're going to be doing the food in the new arena for the 76ers and the Flyers. And so I've got a lot of reasons to go there for tours, and I really want to go to this place. I just get excited about that kind of stuff. So I think it's important to have that, passion is an overused term, but enthusiasm for something that you really want to learn and master.
Yeah, and constantly be learning and growing and open to that. Right?
And that, what you just said, is what the Japanese do really well. They have a term called shokunin, and it's someone who wants to become a master of something. It could be making shoes, it could be making tempura, it could be sushi, it could be fish butchery, but whatever it is, they have the shokunin, are these masters, and they are revered in that culture. And people don't look down on someone who maybe works in a train station basement because they make the best bento box, because that's what they've been working on their whole life.
Yeah, and they're committed to that.
Yeah.
No, and I think the whole thing about longevity and having that long-term vision, we don't see it as much here.
Well, because people are so short-term and like low attention span.
And they want 2 years and then move, 2 years and then.
I want a promotion. I want a raise.
Yeah.
I hear it all the time. My friend is in PR, and she said she's got young girls who work for her that are a couple years out of college, and they get impatient and they want to be promoted and they want a raise and they want the boss to pay for your cabs to work. Like that's not that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. It's not, especially in this economy, which is getting even rougher.
You've got to work extra hours and extra long and be willing to do a little bit more. And like a friend of ours, their daughter is like 25 and is in LA and trying to work for an agent, hated it, and now works for CAA, which is a great job, makes little money, but we kept saying like, this is your master's in entertainment. You're going to meet a bunch of people. You're going to learn a lot about the industry. You're going to make enough to barely to get by, but you're there to learn and to think of this as your master's.
Yeah, and I think people have to value experience and context more. They don't realize that, right? The value of experience and how you can apply it later is gold.
And networking. People don't get jobs based on LinkedIn posts or resumes. They get jobs based on people they know.
Yes.
I mean, my daughter got a job in Amsterdam because I think my wife knew somebody at McDonald's who knew somebody at the ad agency they worked with. And then my daughter got an interview because of that and got a job at the ad agency in Amsterdam. It's like, it's a lot of it is who you know.
Yeah, so much of it.
Yeah.
So much of it. So keeping those relationships good and fresh and remembering people when you don't need them. To me, that's so important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let them know you're thinking about them. So your pizza event is coming up. It sounds like you're going to be also all over the United States and all over the world.
Well,
much exciting things coming up.
We did Nashville 2 years ago, and I wouldn't go back there. It's a difficult market for a pizza festival. Okay. But we do LA every April. So the last weekend of April is always Pizza City Fest, LA. And there's more information, by the way, pizzacityfest.com. And then we're going to do Chicago middle of August.
And how do people follow you?
Steve Dolinsky.
Okay.
With a Y at the end. Yeah, Steve Dolinsky on Instagram and TikTok. But Instagram probably is the best place, Steve Dolinsky. That's kind of where all my stuff happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you got to follow him.
I just always felt like my name was the easiest. I didn't want to have like Steve at TV 7, Channel 7 or Channel 5 because those channel things will go away eventually. Mm-hmm. And just my name is always going to be Steve Dolinsky. So it's like, just follow me. Yeah. There's another Steve Dolinsky in New York who's mad that I have SteveDolinsky.com because he wanted the website. So he's Steven Dolinsky.
Oh, okay.
But I'm SteveDolinsky.com. Yeah.
And I want to thank you for being here with us.
My pleasure. What a fun chat.
Yeah, it was great. It was great to catch up. And I'm so proud to see everything that you're doing. And it's coming out of Chicago, people, which is really great. Chicago. So can we do a toast?
You do a toast?
Toast.
Cheers.